You've been sold a war that doesn't really exist. Slow cardio versus hard intervals. The truth from the physiology lab is stranger and far more useful. They build two different engines on two different timelines. Today we go deep on the slow one, because it's the one almost everyone gets wrong. This is longevity decoded. Zone 2 properly this time. Not the buzzword. The actual physiology, what the best endurance athletes on Earth really do, and how to find your own Zone 2 without a lab. First, forget the number on your watch for a moment. Zone 2 is defined by what your metabolism is doing, not by a colored band on a screen. At an easy, sustainable effort, your body runs mostly on fat. As you push harder, it shifts toward burning carbohydrate. Zone 2 sits right at the top of the fat-burning range, the highest intensity where fat is still your main fuel. There's a chemistry marker for it, blood lactate. At very low effort, lactate stays near baseline. Around the top of Zone 2, it drifts up to roughly 2 millimoles, the point where you're making a little more lactate, but still clearing it as fast as you produce it. Here's the nuance most videos skip. That 2 millimole line is not universal. The same lactate value is more metabolically demanding for an elite athlete than for someone who is metabolically unhealthy. Zone 2 is individual, not a fixed number. So why does the talk test work? Because a comfortable, conversational, nasal breathing effort tracks that fat-burning, lactate-balanced state surprisingly well. The talk test is a free proxy for the lab. And this fat-burning ability isn't just for athletes. Being able to burn fat efficiently at rest and easy effort is a core marker of metabolic health. A flexible metabolism that switches cleanly between fat and sugar is exactly what tends to break down first in metabolic disease. Now, go down into the muscle. At this easy intensity, your body preferentially uses slow-twitch, type 1 fibers, slow, fatigue-resistant, packed with mitochondria, and excellent at burning fat. Mitochondria are the tiny engines inside your cells that turn fuel and oxygen into usable energy. Zone 2 is the single most powerful stimulus to build more of them, make them larger, and make them work better. It also builds capillaries, the tiny blood vessels wrapped around each muscle fiber. More capillaries means more oxygen delivered and a shorter distance for that oxygen to travel into the cell. And here's a detail straight from the lab. Lactate is not waste. It's a preferred fuel. Lactate made by fast fibers is shuttled into slow fibers and burned inside their mitochondria. Better mitochondria means you reuse lactate better. And that is exactly what lets you hold a harder pace before it piles up. The flip side tells the same story. When mitochondria are few and sluggish, you rely on sugar too early, lactate rises sooner, and both performance and metabolic health suffer. Poor mitochondrial function sits underneath a lot of what we call being out of shape. But the catch is timing. This cellular remodeling is slow. Building mitochondria is long-term compounding, like an investment that pays off over months and years, not days. That is the single most important thing to understand about Zone 2. Now zoom out to the whole system. Your VO2 max, the size of your aerobic engine, is really two things multiplied. How much oxygen-rich blood your heart can pump, and how much of that oxygen your muscles can actually extract. The heart side is central. The biggest trainable lever there is stroke volume, how much blood you move with each beat. The large majority of the differences in VO2 max between people trace back to this cardiac output side. The muscle side is peripheral, the mitochondria and capillaries we just built. Zone 2 volume is the main driver of that peripheral engine, and long, easy sessions also improve how well the heart fills, which feeds stroke volume. So Zone 2 quietly builds both ends of the engine at once, just slowly and durably. This is where the high-intensity versus Zone 2 fight falls apart. Hard intervals raise VO2 max fast, especially in beginners, but that gain tends to plateau after a few weeks. Volume works the other way. Slow to show up, but it keeps building a mitochondrial base and, crucially, your ability to sustain a high percentage of your VO2 max for a long time. That durability is what actually wins endurance events and is mostly built easy. Different tools, different adaptations, different timelines. It was never either or. Don't take it from influencers. Look at what the best endurance athletes on Earth actually do. World-class distance runners cover 160 to 220 kilometers a week and spend at least 80% of it at low intensity. Elite athletes training 15 to 20 hours a week keep about 80% of that time genuinely easy in Zone 2. It's the only intensity you can accumulate that much of, and it still drives adaptation. This pattern has a name: polarized training. A lot of genuinely easy work, a small slice of genuinely hard work, and very little time in a mushy middle. And the mechanism holds up in the data. Across studies, the more training load you can tolerate and recover from, the greater your mitochondrial density. Volume you can repeat beats heroic sessions you can't, which is why the modality matters. To accumulate hours without wrecking your joints, a lot of Zone 2 is best done low impact. The bike, the rower, an incline walk or ruck. Save your running legs for the sessions that need them. So the biggest mistake is not too little intensity. It's doing everything at a medium hard effort. It feels productive, but it's too hard to recover from and too easy to build a deep aerobic base. If your easy days are secretly moderate, you get the fatigue of hard training with a fraction of the reward. The whole discipline of Zone 2 is letting easy be truly easy, and that is mostly a battle with your own ego. So how do you find yours without a lab? Start with the talk test. You should be able to speak in full sentences, but not comfortably hold song. If you're gasping, you're above Zone 2. Nasal breathing is a good governor. If you can breathe through your nose only at a steady effort, you're usually in range. The moment you need your mouth to keep up, you're drifting out of the zone. Heart rate helps, but treat watch zones as estimates, not gospel. The common 60 to 70% of maximum is a starting guess, and the formulas for max heart rate can be off by 10 beats or more. The gold standard is a lactate test, holding an effort near 2 millimoles, but even that is individual. For most people, the honest signal is simple. Real Zone 2 feels almost too easy, and that is the point. Here's how to actually use it. Make the bulk of your weekly aerobic training Zone 2. Several sessions of 30 to 60 minutes or more at that conversational pace. Then add 1, maybe 2, genuinely hard sessions a week to lift the ceiling. Short intervals near your limit, like 4 rounds of 4 minutes hard with easy recovery. A format shown to raise VO2 max more than moderate training. If you also lift, keep the easy work easy and the hard cardio short. Low intensity volume and a small dose of intervals interfere the least with building strength and muscle, so the two goals can coexist. That's the whole recipe. Mostly easy volume for the base, a small dose of hard for the top. You don't need 10 hours a week for health and longevity. Consistent volume over years beats crushing yourself for a month. And be patient. The heart adapts in weeks, but the mitochondria and capillaries take months. Zone 2 is a long game, and the people who win are the ones who show up easy again and again. Why care if you're not racing? Because VO2 max is one of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you'll live, and the aerobic engine Zone 2 builds is exactly what keeps you strong and capable into your 70s and 80s. And the same machinery that makes you a better athlete, more mitochondria, cleaner fat burning, better blood sugar handling, is the machinery that protects you from metabolic disease. Zone 2 is health training that happens to also make you fitter. One honest note, this is education, not medical advice. If you have a heart condition or you're new to hard exercise, talk to a doctor before pushing to your limit. If this is the depth you want, subscribe and grab the free longevity guide at longevity-performance.de. Next time we keep decoding.